Hello Internet, I'm HamsterBomb and you guys are joining me for another figure review video. This time I get to look through another Xenoblade Chronicles 3 Figma, and this one is for Eunie. I didn't see that coming at all. Honestly, I was expecting if they were going to make a second one, it was going to be Noah. You know, remember the other main character? But, no, not that Eunie's not a main character. She's on your main party of 6, so it makes sense, but at the same time, that was an odd choice. Didn't even finish a pair that could fuse together, you know, because we already have Mio. But whatever, I guess I'm not complaining. It makes sense that some people out there are just really horny, and this one has boobs and Noah doesn't. So here we are. Anyway, here's the box for Eunie. It just arrived, so I'm able to take some looks at it. You're probably familiar with some of the artwork that they've shown for this previously on their site, so not going to spend too much time on the box. However, I do like to pay attention to any stickers. This warning label down here is an actual sticker, so you know you're getting a real one if you tried to find this online somewhere, and you want to make sure you don't have a bootleg. The official Nintendo thing is printed on there. That's not supposed to be a sticker. Other than that, it appears that everything on it is normal. Let's take a look inside. Okay, with that out of the way, I'm going to briefly show that the inside of the box has this great artwork from Xenoblade Chronicles 3. You could use this to help display Eunie and Mio together, I guess, if you were interested, so that's something you could do. Typically, I leave these in the boxes and just kind of save the boxes because the boxes are nice, but that's enough about the box. Let's take a look at the innards. Okay, first things first, everything is coated in plastic and all wrapped up. Also, I should probably mention, I haven't really mentioned it in most of these videos, but I pre-order these directly through GoodSmile whenever they are announced, and sometimes they have exclusive accessories that only come from GoodSmile if you do that, and I believe that this face is one of those such pieces, so you may not get that if you are pre-ordering this elsewhere. Not exactly sure how that works, because GoodSmile is the one who makes them, but anyway, let's dig into the pieces. I just made a whole mess of things. I'm going to set some stuff aside, and we're going to look at the bag and the innards of that first. And while I'm doing so, I'm removing quite a lot of plastic that was around Eunie herself to protect her from damage. We'll remove the rest of that in a bit. Oh, with an extremely unnecessarily long piece of tape, I was gunning for this first. This is an extra bag of goodies. I like to go with the accessories, or generally probably the least interesting stuff first, so that we can finish with the fun part that everyone wants to see, the figure itself. And oh my goodness, they went crazy with this tape this time. Okay, first off, let's take a look at this paper that comes in it. It's going to show us a lot of information about how Eunie's going to work, and this is the Japanese side. For most stuff that I have gotten lately, there is English on the other, and that is very convenient. They did not always do this. Appreciate it. They have lots of information about all the contents of the box, how the weapon, I don't know if there's a name for her weapon, there has to be, but anyway, it looks like it assembles and switches shape so that she could, I don't know, cast heals or damaging attacks. I don't really remember, but it's like a medic rifle. It's pretty cool if you're not familiar. Anyway, it's also showing some generic stuff about how the joints do work on the insides of these, and we will mess around with that in just a bit. I always hang on to these things. You never know when you might need to reference that. It's always good to have. And yes, you always need a new Figma bag. I'm going to put my hand back there so you can read that there, and a little bit of white area so you can, I guess, write and label these. I never end up doing that, but it is nice that they always give you a nice bag to keep all these accessories handy. That I am very grateful for. This, I'm going to need some scissors. And here we go. There's most of that stuff, but there's a couple tiny ones we don't want to forget that were hidden in the very small piece there. They are. These right here are very important parts. This tiny little joint right here is a spare in case something breaks, specifically your smallest joints, like in the wrist. So if something were to happen to your wrist joint, you're bending the arm in a way that just doesn't really work out, you've got an extra one of those that matches that skin tone. That is something that's very useful. This is a piece that you can use by attaching to the stand itself. It can either just go directly into the figure, or you can use this. It's kind of like a little bit of an extension and change the angle. We're probably not going to be using that, at least in this video. This is just a traditional Figma stand. If you have a Figma, you probably already have one of these. These things are outstanding. They've got wonderful posability and a lot of strength to hold stuff up in pretty much any angle, so I really love these. Let's move on to the hands. All right, so we've got like our traditional ones that we see a lot of the time, just a simple open hand. We have some that are for grabbing onto something, likely the weapon. And actually, it looks like this next one is for grabbing onto the weapon because it has a specific sizing to it. So we have a right and a left that is for grabbing. And this here is probably for holding onto that other accessory. We'll get to it in a bit. This guy right here. And something for pinching. I'm going to feel like a fool if there's some specific Xenoblade reference that I'm missing for that. But anyway, since I referenced it, here is... I'm not sure how to actually refer to this guy. This is like a gift that Tyon, Eunie's partner in crime, I guess, gifts her at the end of the game. I'm not going to spoil too much of what it is, but it is something that is of like a significance to the character. However, I was still kind of surprised that this is what they chose because it's such an obscure item that is only used in a single cutscene. But anyway, that's still neat that they would appreciate and go for something like that. And just to show you, it does fit very well right there in that hand. So that's definitely what this one's for. And I guess that one's just for... Maybe it has something to do with the gun. Oh, it's a trigger finger. That's what it is. It's a trigger. It's... Duh. It's a medic gun. This one's for pulling the trigger, and the other's for holding on. Alright, never mind. We don't have to be complete idiots here. We have two extra... Now, there is going to be two more hands. Don't worry about that. They're attached to the figure right now. But we have two more faces. Alright, now that our focus is a little bit closer, you can see my grubby fingers and these two face plates. These are our alternate faces that we have for Eunie, aside from the one that is already attached. We've got like this shouting, attacking face, I guess, and more of like a RBF face, which she's got a lot of character and attitude. And this, I think, was the exclusive one from Good Smile. I actually kind of appreciate this because it kind of shows off Eunie's character a little better. Anyway, let's move on to this. We have two whole pieces to attach this sucker together. It is quite large, and in fact, I'm not even positive on how we're going to go about attaching this thing. I probably should have read the manual before I did this, because honestly, like, offhand, do I even know how it goes together? Yeah, I'm not doing this wrong on camera. I'm gonna figure this out. Okay, so this is weird. This actually separates right here, and then this is the part that attaches in here. Okay, so this is the completed weapon itself. And yowzer, I know these can also move as we saw in the instructions. I'm not going to do that right now just because of it being a little bit complicated. But wow, it's big, and it actually has this extra piece, which you can kind of see here is replicated in that. So I guess it folds up or something like that and shortens, and if that is the case, you have this piece to do that with. And this is probably the extended ready-to-fire piece. But anyway, that's the weapon. Let's move on to Eunie. Alright, here's our first look at Eunie. We are going to start by removing some of this excess plastic that does not need to be here. They tend to stuff this in between the joints to make sure that nothing gets damaged or scratched when it is being shipped. So I will remove that right now. Alright, and here we go. We are plastic free. Let's take a look. Yeah, I was just trying to adjust her belt and forgetting that the fact that her belt kind of falls down half the time anyway. It's like worn on the outside of the pants for some reason. Alright, but anyway, this is Eunie. We're going to take a quick look at what is posable, what is not, and what's the ins and outs of this figure. Also, since we were looking at our hands earlier and faces, let's take a look at those before we get too into depth into this. We have just basic fists that come attached to the figure as you get it. So that makes 10 different hands that she comes with. Here is the faceplate. We have a smiling face that goes on this piece, just as you get it. So that makes a total of 3 faces. The wing ear things do not appear to be posable. Oh no, they can twist. So they are on a joint. So you could angle them, as you can kind of see here. I'm not sure how far I could go. I guess I could twist all the way upside down. So you theoretically just could twist these around. Oh, that looked like it was scratched paint on there for a second. All right, so that can move all the way around. The hair in the back, similar to how they did Mio, is on a joint, so it can go up, I guess, if wind's blowing or something like that. There's the spot back there to attach into the stand, as we've already shown. Now, from there, the head can move around 360 if need be. There appears to be like rubbery plastic on the strings of the hoodie. You can see that that is not attached. I would expect that to be part of the mold here, but no, that is its own little piece. Be very careful with that. The shoulders obviously are going to independently move. We have regular joints in here for the elbows, and as I mentioned, the wrists are very small. We already saw those joints independently of the figure before, but if they do break, we do have a spare, so that's nice. Right in here, there is going to be another joint, so it's kind of disguised under this jacket, which is also that rubbery plastic. And this joint allows a lot of extra movement here, so I can just quickly have it bend in conjunction with this piece above the hip. And it can sure make these things much more agile. You know, just something absurd that you could try to make it do. So, luckily, they have a lot of movement when they move like this, so that's very nice that they added that in there. This extra waist piece is one that I'm not really familiar with, and that's just to make it go up and down really, really far. So that's really cool. Normally they just go down to the hip and you only have one piece here, but she's got this extra segment here that is kind of cutting through the waist. You can see it, and it helps with a lot of vertical movement, so that's cool. The belt is attached here in the back, it looks like. It's in one little peg. We'll take advantage of that bending right now, so you can see that attach right there in the back. And the rest of it simply hangs loose. It just hangs wherever it hangs. The hips are both attached in their own joints that can move. You can see if I slide them up, they move up, and then out. You can kind of see how they work in here. And if I were to move that just a bit, oh, we even had some plastic. I was just trying to move it just so you can see how it actually operated. And that is okay. So there is just like a peg and another one. And if you independently move the other leg, you can sometimes see them move. But looks like this one doesn't do that. Okay, that's fine. Doesn't really need it. Luckily, if that pops out, you can see how easy that was to put it right back in. The knees are going to operate just like those elbows. And looks like the foot is, since this is a bigger boot, it's not exactly as mobile as some of the other shoes that I'm used to with these. It looks like, yes, you can twist the shoe, but that's about it. I can't really do much more. However, when we get down here, when it comes to heel and forward of the foot, you can move it, and then also the toe can also move. So theoretically, you could probably get just as much movement as you need out of any point of the foot, but it's not like I can do too much with it. But still, it looks like for whatever I'm going to need for Xenoblade, which generally does have a lot of action-y scenes or poses you're going to try and replicate from the game or the cover art itself, I'm sure it can do it. So anyway, this is a really nice one. It came with this really huge piece, which is kind of nice to see that they built the entire weapon. I was not expecting an extra part for the weapon. I honestly just thought it would just be, you know, the one piece, but no, they went farther than that. That's really cool. I'm a little disappointed that this is probably going to be the end of them making Xenoblade 3 Figmas. I expected Noah, as I mentioned before, but having these two is still okay. We have a Kevis and an Agnes character. That's really cool, and I just really loved the game. It was one of my favorite on the Switch, so I'm excited to see just some of them that they're making in general for Xenoblade 3. I do have some more Good Smile products for video games that are going to be coming in several months, so look out for those on the channel. Remember to like the videos and subscribe for more, and I will see you all in the next video.